So stop thinking like a goddamn slave. You say the Nazis in Europe. You know, if they came in my door, well, bullshit. The time is now. What do you do now? Some guy pissing in your face, cocksucker, wants to break your rice bowl? Mitch Murray, fuck you.
Yeah, hi there, welcome. I want to talk about why I feel that it's game over here in United Kingdom, Great Britain. We're all hearing about the events at the moment in Iran and the revolution which is happening, which for some reason the BBC doesn't want to call it a revolution. It's almost as though they don't know which side to come on. In fact, they don't even need to know what side to come on. You need to talk about neutral. How would you describe a revolution? Indeed, Gil Scott-Heron's famous tune, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," is absolutely correct. It's being live streamed on the internet for us to see for ourselves what is happening. And the main broadcasters in BBC are playing catch up. They are so behind the curve. It's scary. But it's more to do with what's happening here in this country this year, which I believe is going to be happening. Why I say game over. Because once the Home Secretary implements this so-called definition of Islamophobia and then create a law to make it illegal, that's game over. That's a blasphemy law, where a specific blasphemy law where you can criticize Christianity, mock Christianity and all the other religions in this country, but not Islam. Yeah, this is what they're going to create. Things are bad enough as it is. It used to be called political correctness. Now they name it woke. Things are bad as it is in terms of controlling what we say and how we speak. That law, when it comes into pass, it will be the end of this country. It will be the strengthening and handing over power to Islamic ideology. And I say Islamic ideology, not Asian ideology. Because Asians, it's just like African, so many different types and manners of Asians. But it's the clash of culture and the submission of our existing British culture to be handed over to a foreign power. That's what's concerning for me. You probably, those of you who are old enough to remember the film The Life of Brian, yeah, you won't be able to have the life of Ahmed when that law comes in. It will be illegal to have any type of criticism. At the moment, the country, I'm a Londoner, born and bred, lived in London most of my life, except for when I, say, served overseas or when I was educated partly abroad. But London has changed beyond recognition. When I was trying to learn German, for example, one of the ways which I used to learn German was to eavesdrop on conversations I'd hear, everyday conversations I'd hear on the street, whether I was at the Haltestelle, waiting for a tram, or in a bar, in a shop, just to overhear the conversations, to overhear the local language being spoken. Not here in the UK. If you're at the bus stop, shop, you're not hearing English spoken. Now even on the tannoy, on the public services, you can barely understand what people are saying. I got a phone call from my child's school recently, and I could not for the life of me understand what the other person was saying. The conversation, most of it was around who are you, where you're calling from, and what is this about? I had to scramble to get the few key words to decipher what the message was. And I just thought to myself, how did that happen? When there was an interview, how did that interview go? How did she get the job? Yeah. You know, we've got situations where you've got like Lucy Colony writing silly things on Twitter, for example, and then retracting them straight away, being banged up in prison. And then all the establishment and so-called pop stars are clambering to defend an Egyptian guy who wasn't even British really, other than their mum, and they've grabbed him a passport to bring him over here, who's saying he hates British people and saying all types of vile things. And it's not a problem. It's that Peter Lynch ended up committing suicide because he was had a sign saying that we're being manipulated and whatnot. Yeah. And then you got, Ricky Jones, no problem, saying I'm gonna slit your throat. It's not making sense. And you got that situation with Maccabi fans and the police were actively working hand in pocket with the so-called local community, i.e. Islamists, to prevent people from supporting. Now, these fans had been brutally attacked and assaulted in Holland, and yet the local people within the area, the Islamic area, okay, were preventing them coming over into this country. The police have chosen their side. Yeah, they've chosen their side. They're going around harassing street preachers because Christianity is an easy target in this country. I've seen atheists. I'll be honest with you. A lot of atheists, I find them very hostile. I find them uber intolerant. But then I find them very chauvinistic. They carry with them a smug sense of superiority. So when it comes to things like Christianity or any other religion, they tend to think that I'm an atheist. That makes me an independent thinker. They're not independent at all. Yeah? People who follow religions, and the Christian religion is a sense of morality, integrity, and cultural norms which have permeated throughout the country. Yeah? These norms are being pushed to one side, and we're bringing in people who do not like this country, do not support this country. I don't know why. But the one thing I do know is, and as the Daniel Tomer team with their Operation Overlord 2, which in all honesty I think should be called Operation Sea Lion, which was the name of the operation for the Battle of Britain. Yeah, the Germans taking over Britain. Yeah, let's call it Operation Sea Lion 2 because it's becoming very successful. Yeah, with the so-called little boats coming over. And it's good to see, I often say that, Napoleon said that an army is a crowd that obeys orders. And if they can unify people to go over to those places on the French coast and stop those boats just by simply slashing the boats, or making them inoperable so they can't come over, that is more than what the government has been doing over the last 5 to 10 years. Spending 850 million on what? An increase in having people come over, and then put them in the hotels or in the HMOs, and paying for them. And I've seen it firsthand. Do not be fooled about the idea that immigrants are being given priority on the social housing, because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen with my own eyes just how prevalent that is. Yeah. And I don't know why. I mean, part of the reason why obviously is the so-called declining population. Yeah. And that's, you see, you've got those two horns. Yeah. You have is Islam and the far left. Yeah. The far left with far left ideology working hand in glove together to push everyday citizens out of their own country. Literally. Yeah? The far left, with their so-called ideology, calling people racist for whatever reason. Yeah? And then you got the Islamists joining, but only so much, but creating sectarian sort of ghettos. It's concerning. With the Demo Tomo, it's good to see that when you actively and collaboratively focus on something, there's things that you can do, but I think overall it's a bit too late now. That's what I'm trying to say. When they bring in that law, Islamophobia, it's game over. It's game over. Because then they will have the full state powers and authority to crush down on any dissent about it. At this moment in time, for example, say Tommy Robinson, it's been very difficult for them to come down hard, even though they've tried every trick in the book to do so, and they've really gone the extra mile on Tommy Robinson. But they can't pin him down for anything racist or anything like that because he's been within the law. So what do? They will change the law. Change the law. Why? Because we've got this decrease in population, and they think it can be supported or superseded by immigration. Yeah, and irrespective of where immigration is coming from, it's not even selective immigration. It's just like from a particular area which doesn't even like the foundations of who we are and what we are. Their model has gone to the automation AI in terms of, okay, there's going to be fewer workers, then we'll automate it. We'd rather have automation than we have more of influx of immigration, because we don't want Japanese, our society, homogeneous society, to be under threat simply for economic reasons. And this is the problem. We can put it down to capitalism if you like, yeah, but it's not about whether or not immigrants pay their taxes or blah blah blah. To me, it's not about that. It's about cultural integration. Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. It's something on my mind. What we're going to do with the Iran situation, and there's lots of so-called immigrants and stuff. Are we going to sort of like have all those Islamic refugees coming over into UK to start a revolution here? Are we going to welcome them with open arms because they're refugees? Yeah? Is that what we're going to do? Is that what we're really going to do? Look how long BBC, they won't even call it a revolution. What's going on over there? They can't even call it that. Yeah? Okay, guys, if you've got any comments on what I said, then down in the comments section.